There's a lot of things that people don't know. There is a lot of misconceptions about, regarding me and Kate, crossing boundaries and all that kind of stuff. I mean, everyone's got a valid, their perception's valid from their perspective. That's fine. I don't live your life. I don't know, it's valid. But, I mean, this is where we're at. I did want to say one thing though about the fact that Caitlin texting Teresa in regards to, what she posted after Teresa said, we don't want to talk anymore. I don't really understand without an explanation, I don't really get how people can think that's okay, because like I said, this is for Carly. So what are we supposed to do when everything that we've been taught these last 15 years and how important communication and consistency and all that kind of stuff is? What are we supposed to do when you say, I don't want to talk to you anymore? Okay, well, I'm going to still try though. And you can call that crossing boundaries if you want. However, my opinion is I would consider crossing a boundary. A boundary would require me to say, hey, I don't like what you're doing, so I'm not talking to you anymore. I feel that you're, harassing me, whatever it is. Like, to cut someone off without an explanation, I would love to know, in any relationship dynamic out there, for a relationship to continue and be okay, there has to be clear communication and understanding, right? I can't fix, mend, or change anything that you're not okay with if you don't explain to me why, for one, or how. Because then I don't know how if you don't explain to me why. So it's kind of important for that transparency to be legit. And for all these years of trying to get that communication to happen naturally and just ebb and flow and be normal, it just hasn't happened. Which, I think anyone who knows or has been in our situation can understand. It's almost like saying, I'm mad at you. And you're like, oh my God, really? You're mad? You hurt me. Oh, I hurt you. How did I hurt you? And you go, doesn't matter. It's like, wait a minute. Like, you have to communicate. And you have to communicate with authenticity. Or else every relationship you ever have is doomed. If I went around believing people could just read my mind and do the things that I expect them to do, I'm going to be super lonely. You have to communicate. And it's funny because I will say the clear communication and clarification would have stopped all of this. None of this would be necessary if we had that information. We wouldn't have to be doing any of this explanation or, sharing anything, because you explained to us clearly, like an adult. Adults, we talk. We talk, right? We hear each other out. We explain our situation. We express our wants. And I think Teresa just saying, I don't want to talk to you anymore, is childish. I believe this. And yeah, maybe some people may say it's childish for us to, continue to try. I don't agree with that. Because I don't care if it was any of my children. Will always try. I will always try. I don't care at all I will always try. I'm a father, and I will always try, and I will keep trying until you say you're harming me, until you explain to me, you know what I mean? Like, that's where I'm at. Like, you have to explain. And until you get an explanation, what am I supposed to do? Give up? And just hope and pray that, she comes and finds me one day? Well, that's That's what I'm preparing for. That's why we're doing this. That's why I'm sharing my story. That's why I'm using the platform. So when she does get her own desire and freedom to seek information and get access, she'll have it. I'll be right here. Here I am. So yeah, this is where we're at. I don't say all of this without thinking of Brian Teresa. Like I said, I can't imagine the loss that comes with not being able to have your biological child. I can't imagine what it's like to have to go the adoption route to become a parent and live that lifelong dream of yours to be a parent. I can't imagine what that's like. However, if that's what you have to do to become a parent, then I think you have a duty to learn and educate yourself and do your research about what's beneficial for that adoptee, from that adopted child. It is your duty. And I don't think it makes sense to deny that child access because you think otherwise. It doesn't matter what you think. It's the adopted child. It's like you refusing to try to understand how they feel and what's important to them and what's the data shows and what the statistics are about adoption or adopted children and what they have to go through. That's negligent. That's negligent on your part. That's not okay. And I only hope and pray that Brandon and Teresa have done that research. I hope they have done that data collection. I hope they have gone that far into it. And maybe, put your belief system aside. Our morality and ethics and values are allowed to change as we grow and learn and understand things on a deeper level. They're allowed to change. So to be so closed-minded and just narrow-minded viewpoint is a disservice to the child, period. That's how I feel. So I don't believe that they owe us an explanation. However, I know what it takes to navigate difficult family dynamics and relationships. And what it takes is clear communication and transparency. That's what makes it. That's what builds the bond. That's what builds the trust. That's what creates the connection in the first place. So no, you don't owe us an explanation, but you're doing a disservice by not giving one. I mean, you're not helping to have a relationship with me and Kate that you say you want or whatever. So it's just, it doesn't make sense to me. And like I said, there are two scenarios. One is Carly wants nothing to do with us, right? Which is a possibility. I think it's highly unlikely based off of the information I've gotten, but that's a possibility, right? And I almost wish, I don't wish that was a reality. I wish it would be easier. It'd be easier. It'd be a lot less or a lot more smooth operating this going forward if it was Carly's decision. Because if they said, hey, listen, Tyler, and Caitlin, Carly wants space. She's being affected negatively by having this access to you. Boom. I'd be like, oh, wow. I mean, am I sad? Of course. Am I hurt? Of course. That's irrelevant. It doesn't matter if I'm sad or hurt. If that's what Carly wants, that's what she'll get. We wouldn't even be having this conversation right now. But the other scenario, because there's only two possibilities. The other scenario is that she desires connection. She desires access and they're denying it. or refusing it or putting, blockades on it. And if that, for the sole sake that is what the truth is what the situation is, then I have a duty as a birth parent, as a father, to make this accessible to her. And so I will continue to do that. And you can think it's wrong, not right, or whatever. It doesn't matter. Because based off of all the adoptees that I've talked to and their experiences, this is what they need. This is what helps them heal. This is what helps them create a solid self-identity and self-esteem. And so I may not have control of the communication with her. I may not have control of the access to Carly. But what I do have control of is a message that she could potentially get if she decides to seek us out. And that's what I'm doing. So, like I said, you can agree with me or not. That's fine. I'm not here to gain your respect. I'm not here to be validated. I'm not here to have you agree with me or not agree with me. I'm not here for any of those things. I don't need your respect. I don't really want it. What I want is the truth to be out there for when Carly wants it. And that's what I'm doing. And so me and Kate will continue to use our platform. Please be on the lookout. We're having a podcast being launched next month. I want people to be aware of that. I will be having multiple experts on that podcast. I will be having opposing viewpoints towards me and Kate on that podcast. I will be having this conversation a lot more in the future. So be prepared, because you'll have a lot more to say and you'll have a lot more opinions and comments, I'm sure, moving forward. So yeah, that's what's going on. So I'm going to get to there's a lot of questions on here, so bear with me. Let's see. Could it be possible that your OF has made them shy away? Listen, here's the thing about the OnlyFans or OF, or don't get me in trouble, Instagram. I'm not used to this, so I don't know the lingo or what's allowed or what's not allowed. This was happening like years, them pulling back and restricting it and not having visits every year. This was happening way before Kate started that account. So that's all I can say, right? You put the puzzle pieces together. Nothing's changed from then to now besides officially cutting off. So this has been happening way before OF was even invented or even a thing. So is that a possibility? Sure, it's a possibility. But the funny thing about that possibility is that it wasn't a requirement. Me and Kate, we shut it down. Fine. Okay, if that's what it is, if that's the only thing that you have on me, fine. Done. Get rid of it. We had fun for a year, made a crap ton of money from it. Cool. It was done. However, getting rid of it and shutting it down is not a result of that's what the problem was. It's a result of the possibility of that being a problem. However, I don't believe that is wrong. I don't believe people who are OnlyFans are wrong. It is a 18 and older private website. And so I don't believe it's wrong. I really don't. And yeah, that's just how I feel. So, because one thing that I think is interesting regarding fans only, I don't know what you're supposed to call it on here because I don't want to get in trouble. I think the thing about calling, or about talking about, the OF is do you really believe that anybody who is involved in that kind of work deserves or doesn't deserve children to be a parent? Let's, for instance, say the underwear models for Calvin Klein in Times Square on huge billboards? Do you think he's not worthy or deserving to be a father? Do you think, for instance, Pamela Anderson, do you think she should be able to have, or do you think she should have been able to have children after doing her stuff when she was younger and posing? And like, do you think that strippers should be mothers? I mean, if you believe, oh no, they should, that okay, well that's interesting. That means that is an opposition of morals and ethics and values. That doesn't necessarily make the other person a demon or lack of character, whatever you want to call it. Like, that is literally just a difference in opinion and lifestyle. And actually, with that said, I'm glad that got brought up. I think it's important to address the fact that, do I have any regrets or, different viewpoints regarding Farah? Yes, I do. I think her particular specific very produced video and is a way different, and her using the Teen Mom name in that title, and there's a whole different thing. I believe it is different. However, do I think it was fair for the treatment that she got regarding it? Just that part, not her personality, not how mean she is, not how she treated people, but just that part. Yeah, I do. Yeah, I would say I'm sorry that you got treated in that way. I think it was during a time where it was still very taboo and not talked about and not explored enough. And I think, yeah. But the way she went about it was wrong. She lied and said it was a home video. It wasn't. That it wasn't produced, or she didn't seek out the contract and actually make a, adult film, like whatever. And that she used the Teen Mom name in the title. And she didn't get fired only for that. She got fired because she was a mean person. And I think Farah, at this point in our age, could admit that she treated people poorly. I think that, at least I hope that she'd be able to come to that, conclusion at least, or understanding. Just like I've come to the conclusion that the way she was treated and vilified for that aspect, not for not her personality and how she, but for that specific video. Excuse me. So I'm sorry she was treated in that way. But that's about it for that. So other questions. God, they're going crazy. Did you ever feel a bond with Brandon and Teresa? I thought I did as a kid. I mean, I was 16, right? I'm a child when all that happened. I thought I did until, we got further down the road, until, we couldn't know their address and we didn't know their last name, and we couldn't, that's when I started being like, oh, this is definitely more of a, professional exchange type of relationship, and it's not going to be like, heartfelt and authentic and fluid. So no, I thought I did, but as time went on, no. No, I could tell she never liked you. Yeah, and it's been confirmed. She thinks I'm abrasive, and she thinks that, my communication style is a little too, which, I agree with her. I give it to it, yeah. You were raised in the South, and I was raised in the Midwest. It's just a different, I think, in culture. Like I said, another example of oppositional cultural differences. Not really, you're a bad person, I'm a good person. It's just an opposition and difference in culture and communication style. You think I'm too loud and abrasive? I think you're too beat around the bush, not authentic. So there we go. Let's see. I probably should go to the action question box. I'm an idiot. See, guys, I'm trying to scroll it, and it's too much. I can't answer that question. What was the last thing Carly told you? That would be crossing the boundaries, in my opinion, if I told you what she personally told me. I can't answer that either. I can't answer that because she has this. Yeah. Anyway. Okay, here we go. Perfect. How did cutting ties become official? Did they tell you no more contact at all? They said, we don't want to talk to you anymore, was the first initial thing. And that's when Kate was like, whoa, well, can we please jump on a phone call? Can we talk about this? What do you mean? No response. And that's when, we were kind of like in limbo a little bit. And I was like, well, all you can do is keep trying. So if you're not going to talk to us, we at least have to try to send these updates to Carly like we're supposed to, and like everyone, like how we're supposed to, and what's good for her, and just hope and pray that you're going to show it to her. I mean, so once we were sending those updates, to Carly personally, to Teresa's phone, and then it kept saying, not delivered, and then we got confirmed that, she officially blocked us. So now we know for a fact she's not getting these updates, and now we just stopped. Obviously, once you're blocked, you're blocked. So yeah. Let's see. Oh, okay. Let's see. Do you think she had a problem with my music? I think a lot of people had a problem with it. Oh, that's funny. I mean, I don't blame them. That's a good one. Okay, that makes sense. Do I think that Teresa is scared Carly will want to be a bigger part of y'all's lives in the future? I think maybe she does have fear about that. And I will say, in her defense, I think that fear is valid. I think that it's sad. Like, that's sad to think about, because it's interesting how Teresa's fear of that compared to our fear that she will never want to have a bigger part of our lives. It's pretty interesting that different sides of the spectrum, but it's all based off of fear. And I've done so much inner work and through therapy and stuff, and just soul work and shadow work, that I have completely let go of fear. I have no fear. There is no fear. I have nothing to hide. I have nothing to justify. I don't allow fear in my life. I just don't, and I won't. It just sucks the energy out of everything. And it's just another form of anxiety. And anxiety is just trying to rob you of the now. And I refuse to let something rob me of the now. So, another question. Let's see. A good question. So how is Nova with the lack of contact? Me and Kate haven't told Nova, and we don't know if or when we're going to do that. If Nova asks to FaceTime her, that's probably when we'll have to tell her, because every time that Kate would reach out to Teresa and say, hey, can we FaceTime? The kids, at least, not us. I mean, we could care less at this point, but can Carly and the girls FaceTime? We wouldn't get an answer or whatever, so we have to tell Nova, well, maybe next, we have to wait. And so we'll probably have to tell Nova the next time she wants to FaceTime. Another question, let's see. Do you guys think that you guys will ever not be fighting about this? And I'm sorry you guys have to go through this. Listen, I don't believe that we're fighting now. I do not have the desire to fight anyone. I actually refuse to even get into a battle or a fight. This is not a fight. I will not fight. It's not worth it for me. No. So will we ever not have oppositional beliefs? No, we'll always have oppositional beliefs. And I think as we express and share more things, you'll understand that that's going to have that has a huge part to play in why this is happening. Very religious conservative versus very not. So, that's just where we're at. Wow, there's so many questions. I'm glad these questions are happening. I just want to say I appreciate everyone on here that's sticking with me and just doing this, because this is important. Yo, maybe it was the big ass silence you used to wear. Yo, I'm dead. That is, whoo, wow, that's funny. You guys remember the early 2000s, the silent hair? I had Baltierra on the side, hey. Oh my God, that's good. I had to just I had to point that out. That was fucking great. Do you think Carly? These aren't. I can't. Certain things, guys. I'm trying to scroll. I can't. I'm not gonna exploit. I'm not gonna exploit how Carly personally feels or whatever, because I don't know these things, so I can't do that. Let's see. Where is Dawn on all of this? Let me talk about Dawn, okay? I have seen too much hate for that woman, and I have seen too much judgments towards her, and I'm going to tell you right now, if it wasn't for Dawn and her consistent, compassionate, loving bridge that she just continued to try to build between us, we never would have got any visits after year 4. In my opinion, that's what I believe. Dawn has been the biggest advocate for us ever. She has been a mediator when Kate didn't even know we needed one, because we didn't know anything. We didn't know we did anything wrong. Dawn has been literally the pillar of support by trying to hold this bridge up and keep this communication alive and going, because Dawn also has expressed that she fully knows and understands the importance of having access and communication for Carly's sake. So I really don't like when I see stuff negative about Dawn, because I think we're in a position to where we believe our opinions are so unnecessary that we have to just cast blame immediately. Oh, it's her fault. It's her. And it's if you only knew, oh my gosh, guys, oh, Jesus. If you only knew, honestly, if you only knew how much she has contributed to keeping this going, it's crazy. So Dawn's amazing. She is an angel, a damn saint. And she has always advocated to keep this communication going. Let's go. Holy crap, there's so many questions. Perfect question. What was the original agreement with Teresa and Brandon? So after, semi-open, going to open, the agreement was face-to-face visits every year with pictures and all that updates and letters and all that stuff in between. And that was the agreement. However, I think they aired this in an episode, but, we signed this agreement as children, right? And I guess not really understanding the fine print. But Dawn showed us in the contract, the agreement saying, yearly annual face-to-face visits up until year 5. And when me and Kate, when she pointed that out to us when we were way older, we were like, whoa, what? What? Up until 5, then what happens after 5? We just never expected that to ever happen. Who does visits annual and having this mutual agreement? And we mentioned this throughout the years. Oh, can't wait for next year's visit. I love that we have visits every year. This is going to be so great. Never mentioned, you guys know it's only up until year 5. That was never communicated to us. It's almost like, and this is my opinion, it's almost like Teresa didn't want to say it out loud, so that way when it got to year 5, we'll remind them of the contract, let them see. And it's weird because it's like, whoa. I mean, for one, we didn't read all the we talked about it in person, so I didn't feel the need to read all the little minor details like that, so it was shocking, when Dawn, we were like, whoa, what? First off, and let me just get this out there. We were children, minor children, signing this in good faith piece of paper. We were more or less going off of the verbal agreement we had between each other. So that was the original agreement. Yeah. But like I said, it was very misled up until it happened, because then all of a sudden it all made sense. When Dawn pointed that detail out, which it was the first time we ever saw that agreement since we signed it, and it said up until the year 5, and then it's the discretion of the parents, we were just like, whoa, why was that not talked about at all between us in person, and all the conversations we were having? We were lovey-dovey. Oh my God, this is great. Why would you not say anything? What? It's like they relied on that in good faith piece of paper contract that we signed when we were children to do all the explaining for them. That's weird to me. We don't operate that way up here in Michigan. We speak. We say, hey, can't wait for next year's visit. Well, next year is 5, and so it's up to us. That never happened. So anyway, that was the original agreement. If that answers your question. I don't want to go too far and keep rambling on, because I will. Did you read the fine print on the original agreement? I just explained that. No. Oh my God. Here we go. So how is that legal? How did Dawn allow it to happen? Because nothing is legal, okay? That piece of paper, Bethany Christian Services contract, was literally typed up on Microsoft Word. Anyone, it's like an agreement that I could make with anyone. Nothing was legally binding. Nothing. And that is also why I believe adoption needs reform. We need a different process that protects the best interests of the adoptee, not the insecurities of adoptive parents, not the wacky desires of birth parents. No, the adoptees. That is why there needs to be a different process. My suggestion, don't ever go through an adoption agency. Ever. You get a family lawyer, okay? If you want to place your child, you get a lawyer, okay? There is no difference. There's no difference in signing parental rights in someone adopting that child after that child has no, parents, than it is to have a permanent legal guardianship. That is all. It's all the same exact thing. The only difference between quote unquote abandoning the child with no parents and then having someone adopt that child in a permanent legal guardianship is that it protects. That's it. It protects the adoptee. It protects the adoptee's access. And that is why I don't agree with adoption agencies, which, by the way, Bethany Christian Services made $188 million last year in revenue. But selling humans and human trafficking is illegal, correct? So, just let that digest and sit in. I don't agree with the adoption agency and the process that happens only in this country. Adoption does not operate like this in other countries. This is the only... So anyway, yeah, I won't go too much into all that. A good question, and this is opinion-based, not fact-based. What do I think the reason for being blocked is? My personal opinion on the reason why they finally blocked us. I think this has been inevitable and coming for years based off of the experience we've had throughout this whole 15 years that me and Kate never really put on TV or even spoke about because we didn't want to shake anything up. I think the reason for being blocked, this is my personal opinion, is that I think Carly was getting older and asking more questions. Me and Kate specifically stated, and we didn't do this with any ill intentions. We were just talking at the end of our visit, and we're like, hey, we would love, next time you guys don't have to fly all the way to Michigan and do all this stuff. We'll make it easy. We'll come to you next visit. It'll be way easier. You know what I mean? We'll meet in a park, whatever the case was. And Carl was like, that'd be awesome. Okay, great, whatever. I don't want to say too much. I don't want to, say exactly what, whatever. But that was what happened. And so my personal opinion from that information is that I believe Carly was asking questions. And I think Teresa, living the life that she lives, and had a hard time answering those questions. And I want to say that's the difference between the way me and Kate live our lives and parent our children versus them. I have nothing to explain. I have nothing to hide. I have nothing to justify because I'm open and honest about everything with my children. I don't believe in the, I don't believe in not giving my children the dignity to understand a concept, if I can explain it the right way, whatever. So I think Carly was asking questions that she had a hard time answering. And when you live authentically, when you live in your truth and it's so authentic and so genuine and you're so in tune and you're aligned, no question's hard to answer. It's not. Because you just let it, this is the reason, this is it. So yeah, I believe that. I think Carly was getting older, asking more questions, and Teresa, which required Teresa to have more explanations and more reasonings, which I think might have been difficult for her. However, this is just my opinion. I have no idea if this is the case. This is what I believe. You ask the question, I'm answering it. Whatever. Let's see. This is a good one. When Carly turns 18, do you think she will have more access to you both? That would be up to how she is raised from here on out. That is up to Brandon and Teresa and how they're raising her and how they are instilling her confidence in her natural intuition and desire and curiosity. I'm trying to think. Well, yeah, 18, you're still... Yeah, so 18, you're obviously graduated high school. Most kids aren't moved out by then. So unfortunately, and you can do research. Please do research. Adoptees have this thing where they feel guilt for desiring a connection to their bio family. They feel shameful for not being grateful enough for the family that they have to seek out their bio family. So unfortunately, a lot of adoptees kind of, walk on eggshells and not express their desire, because they know from past experiences and how to survive in their specific family dynamic, to not ask questions and to be grateful that they're in the position they're in. So that all depends. I have a lot of faith that Carly has enough tenacity and curiosity and enough, vigor to break through those limitations, if there are any. So I have faith that when she is 18, that she'll want more access with us. However, I don't expect it, and I don't think we're owed it. I think if Carly comes to us when she's 18 and says, listen, you guys totally messed me up. You guys are horrible. I don't want anything to do with you. Whatever. As a birth parent, father, parental figure, regardless, it is my job to not fact check, not correct, and not tell her she's wrong. My job is to bow my head humbly with my hands folded and say, I'm so sorry. I love you, and I'll be here when/if you ever want to seek me out. Again, here, I'll be here. And that's it. And whatever her decision is, I will respect it, period. So yeah. Let's see. So many questions. Holy crap, you guys are awesome. Bear with me, guys. There's like a lot. Oh, good question. Great. Did you choose Brandon and Teresa, or how did it work out that Brandon and Teresa were who she was placed with? Well, we went to the adoption agency and we were given booklets. Like, at each family that we're looking to adopt had like kind of booklets with pictures of them and their mom and dads and their kind of like family life and a little bit of like how they lived. And so we got to Brandon and Teresa's book, and it was great. The big house, the white picket fence, the dog, the all of it looked amazing compared to, like, you got to think, we were 16-year-old kids in the middle of our own, unrealized traumatic chaos. So they looked like Leave It to Beaver. They were like, oh my God, I wish they would adopt us and just take us home with them. That's how amazing they looked. And then we watched a video that they did, and they were the only couple that made a video that had like their house and they had their friends and they all this stuff. And that's what sold it for us. We're like, oh my God, this video's great. Like, she's telling, this is my dog Winston, this is my house, and these are my friends. And they had their friends on the video talking about why they believe that they would be great parents. And it was just awesome. And it was like, oh my God, yeah. So that's how we ended up choosing him. Let's see. Another question. I hope you guys, am I boring you? I'm sorry. I don't do this a lot, so it's kind of, it's interesting. Yeah, that's a good question. If you didn't have social media as a platform, how would you get this out to her so she could know later on, like you said? So, me and Kate have already created a specific email for Carly that we will be sending updates to, and we have sent updates to and pictures and stuff like that. So that's one thing. But I have to say, if I didn't have a social media platform to get this to her, I don't know, honestly. I would have to just continue to try to reach out, even though you guys think that's like crossing by. I would purposely cross the boundary and keep doing it and keep trying. As a parent, as a birth father, as a father in general, that's my job for my children, I will do that. That's what I would do. And maybe that's wrong. I have no idea. I'm just being honest with you. That's how I would do it. And I would continue to do so. Because based off of all the adoptees that I've talked to, and their experiences, they tell me a lot all the time about how they wish that they could see that. They wish that's all they would really want. Even if they were able to contact us back, they would love to know that we were trying, that birth parents were trying to get a connection. So that's what I would do, to be honest. So that's a good question. Do you think the unknown is what is so painful for you right now that you don't know if Carly's okay and you don't know who is choosing the no contact? Not knowing can be the hardest thing in the world. I don't know if I wouldn't know if I'd call it like painful, but it does create a lot of questions for me. I mean, the unknown is always disturbing. The unknown is always anxiety inducing. You know what I mean? Like having the unknown. And that's why I'm such a firm believer in open transparency and communication, regardless, without protecting feelings. Because, and I've told Brian Teresa this many times, please don't protect me with a lie. I'd rather be hurt by the truth, because whoever is lying and whoever is conducting the lie is the only one the lie is for. It's not to protect anybody but the person conducting the lie. So, yeah. I think my wife's home from cheer practice with Nova, which Nova's bumming out because she's grounded from her tablet because we caught her in their room last night after bedtime. Any parents out there, you know what I'm talking about. So yeah, a week no electronics. That's a good question. Okay. Have you planned out the first conversation you want to have with Carly after she's out from under, I don't really like the word influence of Brian Teresa. I mean, when she's an adult and out on her own. I mean, they're her parents. She loves them and she, yeah. But I have not planned out the first conversation that I'm going to have with her. Why? Because I believe it is Carly's turn to speak. And it is her time to voice whatever she needs to voice and say. And I will only be a listener. You know what I mean? Until she asks a question or whatever. Like, it's my job just to listen and to let her drive the conversation. So, yeah. That's a good question. Do you think it'd be different if you guys didn't have the status you do? Well, I don't know if you remember that episode where Kate was pregnant with Nova and the picture thing got brought up and we sat down and had a conversation, but I asked them specifically, would it be different? Would the rules, would the restrictions, would the access be different if we weren't who we were and didn't have a huge following? And she said no. And I have to just go off of what she said. However, do I believe that really? No, not really. Because Carly's brother's birth mom, she has all the access to. So I mean, I think it would have been different if we weren't who we were. This is I'm really glad this question got brought up, actually, because this was something that got brought up for the last visit. We never really said the word sisters. Carly is the one that said that word. Oh, my sisters. And so we didn't, and Brain Teresa didn't correct it. They didn't look at us and say, or nothing happened. It was very fluid. So we're like, oh, okay, cool. It's okay to say that they're sisters. I mean, Carly said they're sisters, and everyone's laughing and loving. And, oh yeah, they are. But then after the visit, we got in trouble. We got in trouble for saying the word sisters over and over again. I guess we said it a lot, too much for their liking. And then we got in trouble because we didn't know that was a problem. Kate got this blanket made for Carly's room, where she put pictures of like Carly and Nova when she was a baby, and then like Veda, and she got pictures with all like the girl random collage, and then it had Sisters Forever or something on the blanket, and they were like, ugh. So yeah, that's that. So another good one. Do you know if Carly is aware of this show now that she's older? I can't see how she wouldn't. I really don't. I think she knows that her birth was on one episode, but I don't think she knows the grand scale of the whole TV show. Why? Because, like I said, they live very conservative lives. There's not like a public school and none of that stuff. It's like, she has like an old flip phone or whatever. Like, it's not like so it's restricted. It's very limited. Yeah. That's what I know of, Oh, yeah. Okay, it's a good question. There we go. We can answer this one. Did your parents have to sign anything, or just you two as children? How can a child sign a binding agreement? Great question. So, my dad and Kate's mom did not give permission. They did not sign the required form so Kate could, hand over Carly to Brandon and Teresa. So that's why we had to go to all hospital grounds, because the hospital couldn't be liable, and it really, they couldn't take that risk, and so we pretty much had to do the exchange on a street corner. And when it got to the point where we had to sign over our rights in court 30 days after she was born, because Brandon and Teresa had to wait in Michigan for 30 days for North Carolina to contact Michigan to do this whole make sure everything's good. My dad and Kate's mom actually went to that court date, sat in the back, because it's a public courtroom, sat in the back and objected and tried filing or fighting to get custody of Carly after 30 days, which the judge was like, dude, no. Like I look back at now, I know it's not funny, but I look back at it now, I'm like, my dad with his mullet saying, I object. It's like, dude, get, obviously clearly using on crack, like, no, dude, like, and so, yeah, so we had to get a guardian ad litem, they're called, which is a lawyer pretty much who agrees with our position to place this child as a minor. And that's what happened. I never really... Okay. Are you worried that Teresa and Brandon may issue a restraining order or a cease and desist? I'm not worried about that. I actually welcome that legal battle. Please. I would love for that to be part of the story, if that's what you want. I don't want that, but if that is something that you would do, I think that'd be, and if you're so worried about harming Carly, that would be really harming, in my opinion, to go that far, that route, and to have that be a part of Carly's adoption story, that you went and did a cease and desist. You'd have to have pretty valid evidence of, to make that happen. I'm not saying it's not a possibility, but I would welcome that challenge. Yeah, I would welcome that, I guess, for sure, because that would be interesting to me. Oh no, God. Will you now share pics of her? No, I would never. Oh my God, I would never do that. I would never do that. Like that would be, wow, that would be crazy. And I won't even be sharing new photos. I'll only be sharing photos of Cara that have already been approved by Brand Teresa going forward. I wouldn't, you know what I mean? Like no, I will not share any pics of her. That would be weird. Good question. Explain how you guys couldn't know their last name. It's hard to explain. Me and Kate were under the assumption that wasn't really gonna be a problem. Like, we just kind of assumed that, like, oh, you know my last name, and I'm Tyler Baltierra, and that's Caitlin Lowell, and you know what I mean? Like, so we didn't know until we asked, oh, what's her name? And oh, it's gonna be Carolyn. They didn't even tell us the middle name for years. And then that was it. And we're like, oh, well, it's her full name. We're not comfortable giving that information. And we were just like, okay, you know, like, I don't know. It was just, we were like, that's when we knew, like, oh, this is gonna be interesting going forward. Like, so, yeah. Okay, do you think Dawn wasn't... Oh, I only had 50 seconds remaining, you guys. Oh my, I've been on here too long. Instagram says I gotta get off of here. Okay, real quick. Do you think Dawn wasn't totally transparent, like you were rushed? Did she get a commission check? I'm not entirely sure on the commission check. I know she gets a, normal salary for being an adoption counselor for this agency. I do think Dawn was transparent as she could be. Yeah. Were we rushed? Yes. In the hospital, me and Kate both agree we felt very rushed to, like, hurry up. So, anyway.